bring the trial to a gruesome end with a finishing Mori. A hint of each killer's character shines through with their Mori, whether that's the trickster's showmanship or the hag's questionable diet. The only way to see these animations currently is to use a Memento Mori offering or equip one of only a few select perks, leading to them rarely being seen.
Yep.
Moreover, Moris have garnered a somewhat negative reputation over the years, being used out of spite against a particular survivor.
Yeah.
This upcoming public test build, PTB, will feature an early version of the new finishing Mori system. Unlike most PTBs, this feature will not be going live in the following update. There's still some work to be done before it's ready to be released, but we wanted to give you an opportunity to try it out and share your thoughts in advance. Last standing: when all other survivors are dead, dying, hooked, or have escaped, you become the last standing. Both your and the killer's senses are heightened, granting you a wider field of view. Rescuing a survivor will end the last standing phase. But being downed as the final survivor, on the other hand, will trigger the finishing Mori. When the last survivor is downed, the trial will draw to a climactic end. Both the survivor and killer will be moved to a preset point on the map, free of any obstructions that may get in the way, and the killer's Mori animation will begin. Any survivors still in the trial will be killed by the entity and treated like a sacrifice.
So basically, it sounds like this is going to be a whole thing. This isn't just cosmetic. When survivors are dead, dying, or hooked, or have escaped, you become the last standing. Both you and the killer's senses are heightened, granting a wider FRV. That means there could also be other changes that are in store as well that will change interactions in the game. They only list FOV here, and they don't list whether this is the survivor or killer or killer. I guess maybe this is the survivor side? Dead, dying, or hooked. So basically, any dying is people that are on the ground, slugs, and hooked are people obviously on hooks. Or escaped means it's just, basically same thing as dead. Doesn't matter. Just downing them will finish off people. So I guess this just initial thoughts here is kind of a buff for a killer, because it means people can't game unbreakables at the end of the game and wait for their friend to go down before they use it. They can't save unbreakables for the last possible moment and instead have to do them earlier on. Both your and the killer senses. So it's speaking from a survivor standpoint. That's what caught me off guard. No. So it says both your and the killer senses are heightened, granting you a wider FOV. So if we look into this, this is implying that you are the survivor, and the survivor has a wider FOV. Well, this is just weirdly, and it's weirded from the standpoint of a survivor, which I don't really understand why, considering this is a developer update, and it's supposed to be a developer talking about these two mechanics, but, this is mechanic in general. Wholly no survivor bias in any way, shape, or form. Putting aside the fact that developers imagine that they're survivors all the time. I guess that's just part of it. But no, this could be. I assume this is a typo or something along those lines. This is you're on the killer senses, but it doesn't say how the killer senses are heightened. It just says you a wider FOV, which means you're the survivor. No, it's the last survivor. Only the last person that's not downed or hooked. So, initial thoughts here is this is actually a buff because people can't sit on the ground and wait for their friend to absolutely go down before they try anything. They'll have to unbreakable before this happens. And by the way, people that are against NOED are fucking morons. Killers that are still sympathizing with survivors when they run unbreakables and they have for years. And they're like, oh, I can't use NOED. It gives me kills that I don't need. Oh, buddy. Yeah, and meanwhile, they have unbreakable. They just completely resets the fucking match. You can get out of the fucking town, dude. Yeah. Survivors also have things that will just completely, reset the game or offer a huge bonus. Let's keep going here, guys, so we can put this all together.
Hope is not lost with this new system in place. Leaving survivors on the ground, aka slugging, may seem more appealing, opening the possibility of ending the match early. But the survivors aren't going to give up without a fight. After
Oh my
being left on the
god.
ground for 45 seconds, survivors will now gain the ability to pick themselves up without the need of any
Holy
perks.
fucking shit.
This time is affected by recovery speed effects.
What the fuck? You know how many killers? By the way, I generally do not slug. Oh my god, this prevents slugging for fourth too. Oh my fuck. Well, not really. I'm still gonna slug for fourth. It just means they're gonna get up after 45 seconds, on their own. So I'm still gonna slug for a fourth, and it's just gonna take longer. Is what's gonna happen to your BHVR. You can fucking give them all the fucking hope you want, but this just means my slugging for fourth is gonna last like 5 minutes instead of 4 or 6 minutes. Yeah, it's just gonna take longer. Unbreakable base kit, yeah, because survivors fucking needed that. You know how many killers? Slugging does not work at high MMR unless you are like a nurse or a killer that is made to slug. A nurse or twins, and this is gonna especially hurt twins because they're one of these weird niche killers that can only fight in a certain specific style, and one of it includes slugging. Because Victor the baby, you're not supposed to call him baby. Victor, the little man, can't put people on hooks, so then you have to go around with Charlotte to get people on hooks. This is definitely not that Twins needed to get fucked any harder because no one plays them, but Twins is going to get fucked by this update even more. There's only a handful of killers that are very slug heavy, and Twins is probably the biggest example of a slugging killer. And that aside, slugging does not work at high MMR unless it's in a very particular situation, which we've had before. Like, let's say they fuck up royally and there's 3 people, and then there's the third guy coming for a hook, right? They just completely fuck things up. And then you end up with 3 people on the ground next to a hook, 2 people on the ground next to a hook that's with someone on the hook, and then you have the 4th guy running away. That means if the guy lasts for 45 seconds or less than that because of Unbreakable or, what's the one for getting yourself up? The slug one, where you move faster. I don't remember the name of it. There's one where you move faster on the ground, but it also lets you pick yourself up better. Or exponential. That means when survivors literally fuck themselves, they get off the ground in 40. Why is this needed? Why is this here? And furthermore, if they had an Unbreakable to get off, it wouldn't be ending the match any earlier than if you're chasing a 4th, right? This does not make wow. This does not make the game any easier, except in the ultra rare scenario in which one guy is on the ground and gets off the ground with Unbreakable, right? And saves it for the last possible moment where the other guy ends up on the ground. So this does not make the game any easier for killers, because almost everyone will have used Unbreakable prior to a 4th going down, because it's not going to take this long. Yeah. So they literally this is just basically fucking the killer. That's basically all this is. This is another BBT for survivors where they completely fuck the pooch, end up on the ground rolling around, crying, and BHVR swoops out of the sky and saves them. Oh, what the fuck? Holy shit, guys. Holy fucking shit. Oh, buddy. This is going to get a highlight, by the way. We need to highlight this. Yeah. So, let's put this into context. First of all, Last Stand does not give the killer any better advantage to kill survivors, with the exception being if you can kill a 4th very, very fast. Because prior to that, you're going to have an Unbreakable get people off the ground. It doesn't matter. Chasing a 4th, guys, will almost always, especially faster than 45 seconds, will almost always result in the people either naturally 4%ing or them using Unbreakables or any perks that can allow them to get off the ground. They will use them up. The game does not need to give them anything else. If they don't have it, they're fucked. That's on them. That's on them getting into a position. By the way, this occasionally happens at high MMR with sweat squads that just really, really overplay their hand. It does happen at high MMR, but it's very rare. It is very, very rare. But anyways, this is fucking incredible. Absolutely fucking incredible that they would even go out of their way to do something like this in the first place. How often do you end up in a scenario where you're chasing a 4th for 45 seconds and then someone gets off the ground, which is even faster with add-ons, so it'll be something like, I don't know, like probably like 20 seconds or something like that if you have Unbreakable. Which you can only use Unbreakable once, but its secondary effects still work. Oh my god. What the fuck is BHVR doing? Like they're just like, hey guys, all these guys are on the fucking ground. Let's just make it even easier to get off the ground. Holy shit, guys! Like in order to get into the scenario as a killer, you have to do a lot of fucking work. Hmm. That's pretty unbelievable, guys. I don't know what they're thinking. They're thinking something. Yeah. So they just gave survivors unbreakable at 45 seconds. So if you end up in a scenario where survivors completely fuck up, they just get an out of jail free card. This as killer, by the way, this is like literally, you can say what you want about NOED, but this is like literally having built-in NOED that just works for you when you're in a chase. Like, imagine when you get to level 3 Bloodlust, you just get a free hit on the survivor. That's what this is like. If I get to level 3 Bloodlust, I get a free hit on the survivor. That is exactly what's happening here. And that might sound obscene because it kind of is, but at the same time, that is literally what's going on here. Jesus Christ, guys. This is unneeded. The Last Stand does not change this interaction any more so than it would have already changed, right? If they're in a scenario where the guys are on the ground, and it's like they had to fucking give survivors something more overpowered just to take away like a little bit of limelight that the killer. It's cosmetic. The Mori is cosmetic. That's all this is. It's purely cosmetic, except for the rare case in which you can down that fourth so fast that someone cannot use their unbreakable and they can't use their 4% on the hook. Yeah. Otherwise, everything else here you can play out. You can wait for 4%. You can wait for deliverance. You don't need to play that out. This is 100% a nerf to killers, just straight out of the gates. And this is cosmetic. They gave killers something cosmetic, and then they gave survivors something that completely fucks part of the gameplay towards killers. What the fuck? Holy fuck, guys. Keep going.
Perk updates with both the Mori and the ability to pick yourself up, now part of the base kit. A handful of perks that grant these abilities will need adjustments. Therefore, the ability to pick yourself up has been removed from Unbreakable, Soul Guard, No Mither, and Boon, Exponential, as this is now part of the base kit. The ability to Mori survivors has been removed from Rancor and Hex, Devour Hope, as this is now part of the base kit.
Well, they just neutered Devour Hope.
In addition, some of these perks will have changes made for the PTB. However, since this is an early preview, the in-game descriptions have not yet been updated. These are Unbreakable, now increases dying self-recovery speed by 80.91%. Rancor, once all generators are powered, the Obsession's aura is revealed for 5 seconds, and they are permanently inflicted with the exposed status effect. Hex, Devour Hope, once 5 tokens have been earned, any survivor placed on a hook is instantly sacrificed. As always, we'll be keeping a close eye on your feedback for any of the affected perks.
I don't know why they changed Devour Hope. Devour Hope got a nerf because now you have to take him to hook. Rancor is more worthless than it was before because they're just exposed. Once all generators are powered, they're just exposed. It's a shitty no. The one benefit of Rancor was the fun fucking part that you could kill them. So instead of giving them the same treatment as Devour Hope, where you just hook them and they die, which would still be a nerf, by the way, they just made it so it's, what? This is just a bad NOED. What is Rancor? What? And by the way, Unbreakable just means it's more powerful now because it's 100% effective, which means in 22 seconds instead of, was it 12 normally? In 22 seconds you can pick yourself up instead of 12. And you just can use it over and over and over again. Rancor got nerfed for sure. Not that anyone really used Rancor, but Rancor definitely got nerfed. Devour Hope also got nerfed. Good. Good. Unbreakable got buffed. Survivors in general got buffed. Dude, I swear to God, it's literally an excuse to buff survivors. It's like, hey guys, look, you got a Mori for free now. Wowee! Good for you. You got a Mori for free. Hey, look, survivors have built-in base kit, more built-in base kit because they really need that to fix their fuck-ups in the game. Oh my God.
Memento Mori offerings with the finishing Mori being triggered automatically when the last survivor is downed. Memento Mori offerings no longer have any use and will also receive an update. These offerings will now award a bounty of blood points based on the number of survivors killed if you earn a finishing Mori. Cypress Memento Mori, gain 8,000 blood points if at least 2 survivors are killed and the match ends in a finishing Mori. Ivory Memento Mori, gain 12,000 blood points if at least 3 survivors are killed and the match ends in a finishing Mori. Ebony Memento Mori, gain 20,000 blood points if at least 4 survivors are killed and the match ends in a finishing Mori. Much like the perk changes listed above, please keep in mind that these offering changes will not be released without the finishing Mori system.
So they're shitty versions of pudding and party streamers. Yeah, they're like a shittier version of pudding and party streamers. I don't even know if they're better than the green offerings, because you have to finish it in a Mori, which doesn't always happen. Probably better than like a green wreath, but not as good as pudding or party streamers. Putting aside the fact that those are kind of worthless to begin with because of the innate cost, the innate effective cost of particular meta add-ons, because BHVR makes them more expensive by reducing their rarity. Artificially reducing the rarity unrelated to their color. The finishing Mori and anti-slugging mechanic.
The finishing Mori system, anti-slugging mechanic, and other changes mentioned in this post will be available for testing during next week's public test build. As a reminder, these new features will not be a part of the 6.3.0 update. This is an early preview that is not yet ready for release. We would like to gather your feedback early as we continue developing these features to make their eventual release as smooth as possible.
Oh, buddy. So they gave Killer a cosmetic. They gave Killer, to put this in perspective, guys, they gave Killer a cosmetic update, and then they nerfed Killer and buffed survivors. Yeah. So this is basically just an excuse to nerf killers and buff survivors. I mean, I'm not being hyperbole. Like, this isn't hyperbole. This isn't me just being not superfluous. Superfluous. Sensationalist. This is not me being sensationalist. They literally gave the killer, hey, look, guys, shiny, which you already could do if you took an offering, but you didn't because you need that offering for BP because there's a BP killer tax. Yeah. They took something where you had to run BP offerings because of killer BP tax, which is still net negative, and but then gave you a free shiny cosmetic. Hey, look, you can Mori people on the end of the game when it doesn't matter, which they could have just given you the yellow effect built in, which I don't know why they didn't do. And then they buffed survivors by giving them all base kit unbreakable. All gave them base kit unbreakable, and then buffed the effects of unbreakable, so it's just unlimited now. I don't know. I guess slugging is like, if you watch any of the big streamers, by the way, some of them are sus as shit, like dead. But if you watch some of the big streamers, they generally do not slug. You can't slug at high MMR. The friends will come over and pick them up. It doesn't work. The only playstyle at which this is gonna affect at high MMR is twins in terms of getting people off the ground, or having to slug in order to get a 4K, right? Or slug not just for 4K, just slug in general to get the game done, is twins, and this is going to definitely hurt their gameplay a lot. Absolutely a lot. Not that anyone plays twins, as I mentioned before. And then on top of it, they nerfed Rancor to the ground because Rancor needed a nerf. They nerfed Devour Hope because you still have to take survivors to a hook, and other players can stop you from getting to a hook, right? One of the benefits of a Mori was the fact that you could do it on the spot and there's nothing that would interrupt its effect. Yeah. But now, if you have a bully squad, they can potentially just get in your way, or not even like with flashlights, or they can just body block until you drop them, which we've seen some people do, and then you won't be able to kill them anyways. So this is a net negative for Devour Hope for sure, and Rancor just got they just blew it up. Unbreakable, on the other hand, is also broken. Because now every 22 seconds you can just get off the ground, I believe it is. Yeah. Yep. Whereas before I think it was 12 seconds, but it's unlimited use, so everyone's going to do it. 22 seconds is within normal chase time. So if you have someone that's just literally just chasing around, that means Unbreakable is a personal exponential, and it just gets you off the ground over and over again. Yeah. 22 seconds isn't that long in a chase. I would say survivors can definitely last for 20 seconds in a chase. So I just slugging someone randomly in order to actually take advantage of a situation. You can't even do that anymore. Yeah, and I'm not talking about like a 4 slug, right? I'm talking about like 1 slug on the ground, which you have to do as killer to manage things. If people are running Unbreakable, which I'm pretty sure, like Exponential is relatively rare, and you can just go and blow it up, right? There are downsides to boons. Unbreakable, on the other hand, there is no downside to running Unbreakable anymore, especially with Soul Guard. So yeah, this is interesting. Let's just make survivors more and more unkillable, guys. And I believe when you're on the ground, your endurance effect resets too. So if you get downed, you lose endurance. The the mend effect, you lose it from Unbreakable or from your OTR, for instance, and then you get yourself back up with Soul Guard. You're gonna have Unbreakable again. Not endurance effect, not Unbreakable. You'll have endurance effect again. Or No Mither, but I don't think anyone's gonna run No Mither over Soul Guard. It's gonna be Unbreakable and Soul Guard. Why heal when you can just use Unbreakable Soul Guard, guys? Well, Unbreakable had the effect removed. So they removed the get off the ground from Unbreakable, but it now is 100% faster, which means you can get off the ground in 22 seconds. I believe Unbreakable was 12 seconds prior before you could get off the ground. Yeah, and then there's people, if they just go down your pallet, you have to fucking play around the pallet in order to down someone, like that's waiting to pallet slap you or flashlight you. That could definitely last longer than 22 seconds again. Yeah. There are a lot of cases where people need to slug, and it's just part of the game, and nothing to do with just trying to get everyone on the ground. I think that's only gameplay you see at low MMR. Getting everyone on the ground doesn't work at high MMR because their friends come and pick them up. Because they're on voice comms and they just go radio into HQ that they're in need of extract, and someone goes up and drops down and drops the rescue rope, and they get off the ground. You can't do that at high MMR, with the exception being Nurse and Twins. Jesus Christ. And I'm sure it's all positive. Yay, guys, this is so amazing on Reddit. Let's go take a look at the Reddit thread now. I always do enjoy looking and contrasting the Reddit thread with like literally like logic and rationale and kind of unbiased look at what's going on. Even though I don't play Survivor, you don't need to play Survivor to actually notice what's happening in my games. Oh, God. Christ. Guard adds pickup time too, I believe. No. There's just no mither. What's it called? Literally, you are correct. Literally just vultures circling pallets. And one survivor is going to be iffy, by the way. If people are running Unbreakable, one survivor is going to be iffy to drive off before they can Unbreakable. That's possible. If there's two survivors, though, you are probably not going to get the guy off the ground. You're not going to be able to pick him up before he can get off the ground. Oh, God. Those are crows. Ah. What the fuck are they doing? They just literally just buff survivors and nerf killer. And that's, hey guys, yeah. Let's make life worse. Recovery. Exponential does it. Yeah, I already know that. No Mither also does it, but it's the downside of being broken. 25%. Recovery speed is increased by 25%. So it'll be 22 seconds and 25%, 75%. So you're looking at 11 seconds to get off the ground with no Mither. Worse than that, pretty sure. Why do I have the grandma calculator? 45 times 0.75. That's not right. $11.25 seconds to get off the ground with no Mither and Unbreakable. Okay. I guess there's knockout. Negative 25%, guys. Oh boy. Oh boy. Meanwhile, survivors get up 100% faster, and killer has an effect. A perk that reduces the speed they can get up by 25%. What the fuck? You know there's one killer, right? Do they know that there's one killer in the game? I don't think they do. Knockout. Guess I'll have to use knockout. Like, it's like drop in the bucket, guys. Absolute drop in the bucket. That's why it was never a good idea in the first place. It's bugging me. No idea, guys. We'll have to make a highlight of this too, not that it really matters, but we will. What would you call this? The Mori update? People complaining about no mither. 700 upvotes, and the complaint here is that no mither was devalued. By the way, no mither still works. It still works just as good as it did before. Because it's a buff. But they're just complaining about no mither. No acknowledgement of the hacker update. Yeah. Said that too. No reason to take Boon Exponential. I mean, it gives everyone super fast pickup speed. It's the same as it did before, which is 100%. Giving everyone the same effect as Unbreakable. The entire team the same effect of Unbreakable. Twins are going to fade into the abyss. They're already in the abyss. Yeah, I was actually thinking about playing twins at one point. Yeah, no way. Like, you have to slug as twins. That's the only way to play them. Because of how they work. I appreciate attempts to get rid of bleeding people out for 4 minutes. I mean, it's not going to change that. If I'm going to slug for 4K, that just means you're going to get off the ground. I'm going to put you back on the ground, and it's going to take even longer. I'm not changing how I play for a 4K, because I want a fucking 4K. Yeah. As long as it works, it just means it's going to take longer. It doesn't mean that they're going to have a better chance of getting out. It just means they're going to take longer, and we'll more than likely see more people DC exploit. The recovery is set to 45 seconds so they can listen to feedback and nerf it to 60 seconds on release. That's possible. I don't think so, though. I think it's going to stay at 45. 60 seconds would be too long for Survivor mains. They'd complain about that. Also very bad for Myers, Oni, Plague, pretty much any killer who has a short window to insta-down, and slugging is the smartest way to use them. Yeah, that's true. Killers that have one-shot powers. I haven't think what Myers just went from D tier to F tier. He's not D tier. Actually, no, I take that back. Yeah, it definitely hurts Myers a lot. In the way that I play him, because you have to end up killing a bunch of people at the same time. Yeah, basically it just leaves Tombstone Myers. It's also kill Onryo's Condemn playstyle. That pretty much relies on slugging and letting teammates pick up. There's a tuber somewhere that decided to play Onryo and try to make her work. And somehow did. Probably playing against shitters, probably on the Ireland server. Some streamers, as I mentioned, are very, very sus in general, but then they also play in the Ireland server, which makes them even more sus. Like, they don't get generally very difficult survivors, and then they just shit all over them anyways, because they seem to know where everyone is. Dead. Best... Honestly, the dumbest fucking justification I've ever seen. Where is it? I hate threading. On Reddit. Get a Mori after the game you already won. Yeah. Yeah, it does really hurt Myers a lot. Any instant down killer. I wasn't really thinking about that. Myers requires that you slug people. Yeah. In order to get your benefit out of your power, you usually have to slug. This is essentially it is basically unbreakable. Twins down with Victor across the map. Yep. Really nerfs Twins considerably. They're unplayable. Starstruck Awakened Awareness Nurse. Yep. The only problem with this update, and it's usual, it's a nurse. Fuck off. Yeah, you get that one guy that can actually down everyone on the team within 45 seconds and make a clip for YouTube that everyone thinks everyone does on the game. Yeah, yeah, I still remember that clip that was circling on Twitter, and people were like, "Oh my god, nerf nurse!" You know, like the one guy that does it because his stars align literally, and then gets butthurt about it. It was with it wasn't with Starstruck. It was with Haunted Ground. Haunted Ground and Retribution, I believe it was. The one that lets you see everyone after you have a totem broken. You've activated my trap card. Oh my god, every killer's like this. Oh no, a killer Mori me out of spite. I'll never mentally recover. Seriously, people being targeted by Moris. Yeah, you are not being targeted by a Mori. The RPer. I actually will sometimes do a Nemesis or Wesker. If I see a Jill or Chris, I pop Mori specifically for them. Aha! Wow, the one RPer in Dead by Daylight running at low MMR. Got him good. Oh, Jesus Christ. I had everything about this concern about ending the game with a Mori unfounded. Yeah. You can already end the game early with a Force Log anymore. It doesn't change that. Yeah, we talked about that. Everything about the survivor buffs in this, even changing how the Mori works for killer, is bad. Everything, the survivors get a buff, the killer gets a nerf, and then a killer gets a cosmetic thing. Just like remove the whole nerf and buff and just throw those guys out, and then cosmetic thing for killer that doesn't fucking matter because the game's over. Base Kit Unbreakable is not going to help with toxicity. Apparently, slugging is toxic. And there's a entitled piece of shit right there, guys. Hey, you're trying to win. Don't try to win. Only we are allowed to try to win. Fuck off, dude. Give survivors hatch at the end. It's unfounded to be able to kill the last guy. It should be optional. God, even something like this, which is incredibly survivor-sided, guys, you're still seeing people bitch. You're still seeing survivors bitch and think that they got the shaft. This is never gonna be played again, yeah. Wait, so Unbreakable is like a universal exponential now. Yes. Exponential is going to work the exact same way. If anything, Exponential got nerfed this update, having the only point of it removed, being able to pick yourself up. You can still pick yourself up. You recover faster and you pick yourself up. There's Base Kit Unbreakable now. And he has 28 point upvotes. The fuck is this shit? Like you have Base Kit Unbreakable. You can pick yourself up no matter what. And the only thing that matters on the perk is how fast you can pick yourself up. Ah. Trying to be fresh but utterly clueless. Yeah, they didn't even give a there's no trade-off here. It's just killers got fucked, survivors got buffed, and then there's a little bit of a, hey, shiny, look at this fucking cosmetic that you could already use in the game. Another garbage change to compensate for Nurse being OP. The fuck does this have to do with Nurse? There's a lot of killers that slug. You can... 101 points. Suck my dick. God. Huh. What's funny is even as you choose chases. What's funny is that even with these changes, Nurse is probably the least affected. Time limits don't mean much to the most mobile killer in the game, with shortest time to down. Yeah, no fucking shit. But then they still talk about Nurse, like this update's about Nurse. Ani will probably become nigh unplayable. Oh, jeez, guys. Yeah. Nurse doesn't really... Nurse is... Basically, it's a buff for Nurse, and like they're pretending that this is about Nurse. This has nothing to do with Nurse. People, guys. 1 second, guys. Oh, there. The Mori offering is just if you get a Mori, then it gives you extra BP. Yeah. Weird. But yeah, no Mori. Everyone has Unbreakable. Recovery speeds are now modified by pickup speed. Or not recovery speed, your ability to get off the ground. Stuff that affects your ability to get off the ground just now modifies recovery speed. Bill dies in a pallet mag just as a distract the killer for 45 seconds to get Bill alive. It's not going to be 45 seconds. Basically, everyone's going to be running Unbreakable and high MMR. It's going to become universal. I thought Reassurance was going to become universal, but Survivors are fucking entitled pigs. So, entitled pieces of shit. So... Killers can down someone from across the map. That's basically twins. Plugging isn't even a problem in the game for 3,539 killers. Just legit misplay on the Survivor's part. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, and they should be punished for that. At high MMR, that doesn't happen normally. Where you get a bunch of people on the ground, that does not happen, with the exception being nurse or twins. Why do people keep thinking this is about nurse? It's like people that watch Survivor streamers. Instead of fixing killers that can have easier slugs, that can actually be quite unfair to survivors, they decided to straight up remove... Well, it wasn't unfair in the case of twins, that was their playstyle, they had the slug. Straight up remove strategy from the game because survivors misplay in a group and group up and don't like the killer outplaying them in a way like this. Yeah. Never understood the slugging up there is up there with tunneling and camping when it's not actually something unfair to the killer. Does that the survivors can do nothing about. If a pig gets a 4-man slug, that's misplaying survivors. Never remembered how to spell prestige. Prestige. Ah, no IE. Stored the Bloodwebs with the Prestige update, and now... Wrong one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're just going to add it to the game. It might be tweaked slightly, but they're 100% going to add this to the game. He's talking about it mattering, it's not going to. And just Doom posts his new mechanical work upgrade, now it's fucked. It's not going to work properly. Tunneling, camping, and slugging are all independent mechanics. Totally balanced. I'm a killer main. I played Trapper once in 2016 and I approved this change. BT Unbreakable got made base kit before Kindred. I can't anymore. This game isn't a horror game, it's a comedy. Well, it wasn't a horror game anyways, but that aside. Now these changes are coming to 6.3. What the hell's with the update going to be? Are they saying there's another dev post with them? Good question. Dogshit posts for literally everyone? No, Survivor memes are jacking off right now. They're trying to make a system for paid Moris. Paid Moris should be a thing anyways, but putting that aside. They're going to change it. It probably means they're going to have Mori cosmetic effects. If they want them in a particular part of the map, they're probably going to add new Moris for the ending Mori. The Sable Squad trolls are invincible now. Barring a miraculous unbreakable win that I'll even win anyways, yes. Does this mean you can automatically win the game if Art slugs everybody within 45 seconds? Changes the dev eyes, they needed something to balance out the Mori change. Talked about that when I was talking about the actual the patch notes themselves. Yeah, it does seem like they feel like they need to take something from Killer by giving them a cosmetic update. Nurse buff. It's not a buff to nurse. No mither nerf. This is a survivor main hardcore. Killers will be able to heavily capitalize on this playstyle, mainly nurse. If you're everyone's getting down in 45 seconds, you're doing something wrong to begin with. Or they got really, really fucking lucky, or they're cheating. Those squads get a major buff. Even without that, you basically, if they keep sabling shit, you're forced to drop the survivor anyways, or they'll just wiggle off regardless, and both things usually happen at the same time. Changes sable squads at all. It's basically people that are going to hover pallets. Hover pallets and flashlight saves, where you have to chase someone off really fast. Soul Guard is less valuable and interesting. No, you're a dumbass. Exponential joins Dark Theory and Worthless Boons if you consider the fact that Unbreakable is basically the same thing as Exponential, except that your entire team gets it, I guess. This is definitely just a straight... This 62 points, guys. This is a straight-up Survivor main. That's fucking obnoxious. This just doesn't even make sense. Like, just purely biased standpoint. Get away, unless you're a survivor. This is very much a survivor patch. It very much helps survivors out. And no comment on cheaters? Yep. Can't Mori everyone now. I can only Mori one person. That's the whole damn point of bringing a Mori. No shit. So you also can't use a Mori for a gameplay advantage, like to bypass certain perks or prevent people from blocking you from the hook. So you can't use Moris now as a little bit of a buff to killer gameplay, which I don't generally run Moris, but you could still use it to buff killer gameplay. Yep. Oh, basically just a fucking nerf to killers. Okay. I can bring back Mori Devour. Alright, guys. Well, there's that.